I have a slogan, a phrase that I use on my channel all the time because I
Mhm,
talk about these things because I don't want, when I'm having these conversations within the Black community about police relations
mhm,
and how we can de-escalate situations, how we can keep from exacerbating things. It's
mhm.
like when you're in trouble, you did wrong, you're caught. It's cool, just give it up smooth, right? Like there's no
Yeah,
need, just like you
yeah,
said, like when you're caught, you're caught.
yeah.
So I have a phrase where I say comply to survive, right?
Mm,
Because
mhm,
a lot of Black men are having encounters with the police and they're either getting seriously hurt, they're losing their life, or they're
mhm,
spending the rest of their life in prison. And when you really get down to the root of how this could have been avoided, would
mhm,
have been just them complying with the orders of the officer.
mhm.
One could argue if he would have just complied to the legal orders he was given because he was in the wrong, he probably would have got a little slap on the wrist in the court for the drugs, right? He would have been back at home with his child, like then, and I would have been fine too, right? Like my life wouldn't have been turned upside down. It's
Yeah,
weird.
yeah,
But it's the whole idea that unfortunately, yeah, the biggest issue is people wanting to resist, people not complying with
yeah,
lawful commands. And next, it escalates to a point to where you can't take it back.
yeah. Like technically, he could have just warned him. Like, listen,
Yeah.
you were on your phone. I saw you. Just don't
Yep.
do that again. It's just a slap on the hand. Just don't do it again. Or you just give him, a little warning or
Mhm.
whatever. It could have been just
Could have
completely
been.
fine.
Yep. Yep.
Now, how long were you in the forces before this situation happened?
Um, So I was in probably before this happened. Yeah, like 13 years, 12,
13
12
years.
years.
Yeah.
And I spent that last year thinking I was gonna come back.
Mhm.
And I wasn't able to
Mhm.
due to the injuries and trying to recover.
Yeah.
I had two surgeries and things like that. Physical
Mhm.
therapy took a long time. And then also this happened right before COVID sparked off.
Oh my god, so all
Yep.
of this, you're healing, trying to get
Yep.
better, and then you're locked down.
Lockdown, and that was another thing, then you had the riots, you had the George Floyd thing, and that's also the BLM thing, and that's what also kind of inspired me to do my YouTube channel, actually.
Mhm. Yes, well,
Uh,
perfect. I wanted to know how that happened and inspires you to do what you're doing now.
yeah, so it's weird how it all kind of unfolded, during the process with again COVID going on, all you seeing all the lies to the media about policing, all the misinformation about policing, right?
Mhm.
Because there are issues in policing, that's true.
Yeah.
But policing and racism, those things have been weaponized in order to create division. It's been weaponized in order to for political purposes, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I'm seeing all these things. 'Cause obviously, doing the job, what's true and what's not true.
Mhm.
And it doesn't mean that police don't have things they need to work on because we absolutely do.
Mhm.
But at the same time, you can't just lie either. You know what I mean? And so we need to have like an honest conversation and people need to be honest. And so I'm witnessing these things. I'm trying to get better. I felt like the world was just flipped upside down.
Totally.
And I was like, well, I have this knowledge. I know how to talk to my community about police issues.
Mhm.
There's no one else who's doing it, right? There's no one else who really understands and is willing to be impartial, right?
Mhm.
To be honest and say, hey, the cops are wrong right here.
Yeah.
And then I'll say, no, but this guy is wrong, right? This
Yeah.
black girl is wrong. This black
Yeah.
guy is
Yeah.
like just be honest and say, hey, or guess what? Both of you guys are wrong.
Yeah.
And so I knew that I was able to really be impartial and have real honest conversation and then
Mhm.
educate because I don't want to see people get hurt.
Yeah.
And by educating citizens, I can educate officers as well so that both
Mhm.
sides can make it home safe. And so
Mhm.
that was kind of like the motivating factor behind starting my YouTube channel. I felt like I could have a voice
Mhm.
of reason and help bridge that gap that's kind of that's been created over these years.
So when did you put your first video out there? And were you like initially like comfortable starting it, lighting, recording it, video editing? Because it's a long feat. And
It
I
is.
understand that.
What's funny is I didn't even know you can make money off of YouTube. I didn't
Mhm.
understand how people were making money. I didn't get on YouTube to make money. I
Mhm.
got on YouTube to become a voice of
Yeah.
reason, to combat a lot of the disinformation, to challenge people on these sensitive topics.
Mhm.
And so, and to break things down fairly, because I saw how you had people in the activist world who were taking information and embellishing it in
Mhm.
order to create a
Benefit
false
them.
narrative,
Yeah. Yeah, to
you
benefit
know?
their side.
Correct. And again, I had issues with. I was like, man, I'm so tired of this, because they're doing it all the time, right? But
Mhm.
I know the things that go behind the scenes with these activists, and who's paying them and why they're doing it. But
Mhm.
the people don't know the truth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm gonna start speaking out. Like, I got to do something.
Mhm.
When I first started, got on YouTube, it was during the Ahmaud Arbery trial.
Mhm.
And I started speaking. And at that time, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it. I was horrible at it, right?
Yeah.
Like,
When
it's
was
so
what year
uncomfortable.
was this?
This was
2021?
it was either 2020 or 2021. I
Yeah, because
think it was
pandemic was
2021.
2020.
Going towards the end, yeah, because I started like in October, November of
Mhm.
20, at the end of 2020.
Okay.
I just started, didn't know what I was doing.
Mhm.
It was very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
I had a whole lot of different I had a different style before, because I'm a very soft spoken guy.
Mhm.
And so, people were like, oh, he's a law enforcement whisperer, right? Like, and YouTube, like, people come on here, they will clown you,
Yeah.
they do
Yeah.
not hesitate. So
Yeah.
over time, I started to just become a little bit more comfortable.
Mhm.
And I kept all my old videos up as like a,
Yeah. Same
yeah.
with me. Like I think I started around the same time as you. I think my first video was September of 2020. And
Hmm.
literally, I kept all my videos. I started in my bedroom because I was
Okay.
like, well, this is where I'm comfortable. My table's here. The whole
Yeah.
pandemic setup is in my bedroom in the corner, like everybody else, right? And so I just angled it slightly towards the, curtains.
Yeah.
And I just called my girlfriend. I'm like, hey, do you want to be my first guest? Let's just chat because I feel like, we got wisdom and conversations that we need to catch up on.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a struggle. I enjoyed it. Um the the feedback from the YouTube community was very interesting.
Mhm.
Very positive.
Mhm.
Of course, even what I noticed, and it's been like this since I started this profession, is that sometimes the people that you are trying to help are the ones who are your biggest threat, right?
Mhm.
Your biggest non-supporters are the ones that you're actually trying to help, because they don't agree um with the objective. Of course, I've had more I've experienced more hatred and disgust, and even racial slurs and things like that thrown at me from Black people than
Really?
anybody else. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah, because there's a segment within our community that believes that the police are the reason why
Mm.
Black people are not kind of, or they're a part of a system
Mhm.
that's keeping Black people oppressed. And
Yeah.
so if you work
Yeah.
as an officer, then they look at you as
Yeah.
a traitor, right?
Mhm.
They'll call me a traitor, call me a sellout, call me a
Mm.
coon.
Mhm.
They'll do these things. And so I always thought it was weird, but in this particular situation, I thought it was even worse, simply because I'm coming from a place of more of an educational perspective, right?
Yeah.
Before it was, I'm in the neighborhood, I'm investigating, I'm doing
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
I have to stop you, I have to interview, I have to arrest you.
Mhm.
That's me doing a job. Here, it's more like this is me volunteering and trying to give wisdom,
Yeah.
trying to educate. And there was a lot of pushback.
Yeah, because
So
they still see you as a cop. That's your
correct,
background. So they still associate you with the wrong team.
correct, yep, correct. And so that's been challenging, and
Mhm.
it's been kind of like that piece right there within itself has been discouraging, right? Like there was a couple times I'm like, hey, why am I even wasting my time?
Yeah.
But then people will remind me that no, you are reaching people, you are having
Mhm.
a good impact. Don't let the few interfere, with what you're doing for the many. And so there are moments, right, where you're going through this and the views slow down, people
Mhm.
aren't subscribing,
Mhm.
you're getting the criticism, and you just kind of like, I don't really have to do this. I'm
Yeah.
really doing this for y'all, not necessarily. So it's been a challenge, but it's been a growth as well.
Mhm.
And YouTube has opened up a lot of opportunities as well, just meeting different people,
Mhm.
having business opportunities and things like that. And it's helped me spread the message and spread the message of my nonprofit as well, which, we're going to dive into.
Yeah. And how long did it take you to get to your first 1,000 and to get monetized?
That's a good question. I've been taking screenshots of all my big like accomplishments,
Mm,
like,
mhm.
because to me it's hard. This is not easy. Like,
No, it's not easy. It's hard.
not easy at all. And one of the hardest things is staying consistent.
Yeah.
Um, I think for me though, honestly, what's been discouraging is that when you have a heart to serve and to really help people,
Mhm.
and I'm a very solution oriented person. So anytime I have a conversation, it's solution based. It's not really based on complaining.
Mhm.
And I have solutions to fix the problem with the criminal justice system, with policing. And I thought that people wanted to have solutions. I thought people wanted to see change. I thought these things. And
Mhm.
since doing this, I realized that that's not what people really want. Not
No?
the ones who are complaining.
Mm.
No.
What do they want?
They want they want to vent,
Mm. Mhm.
right? They want to complain.
Complain.
They want to complain and
Yeah.
they want a punching bag. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm. Mhm.
whereas I don't mind you throwing punches as long as you're willing to, when we get done, to come and do the work,
Yeah,
right?
like
Like,
what actions are you gonna take to change your life?
exactly. And what I realize is people don't want that. I'm speaking specifically within, and I'm not speaking for everybody, but
Yeah.
a lot of people who have some of the most egregious things to say, they
Mhm.
don't want to do the work, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would simply ask people, if you don't like white police officers and you think they're racist,
Mhm.
okay, I get it. But then you don't like black police officers, you think they're sellouts and you don't want to support them either. Okay, so then what's your solution, right? You don't like white, you don't like black, you don't like cops at all.
Mhm.
Well, then what are you going to do with the crime in your community? What's the answer?
Mhm.
Because there are people who are calling 911 who are black, who want the services of law enforcement. Now we can argue about the services being professional, being adequate, being appropriate, right? And things like that. Yeah, we want quality, but to say you don't want it at all, that's not going to work, right?
Mhm.
Because the crime isn't going to allow that to take place. And
Yeah.
so, I ask people, then what's the solution?
Mhm.
You can't complain about what white people are doing and saying they're the issue, but
Mhm.
then you yourself are not willing to step up and do the job.
Yeah.
Well, then you can't complain about the people who are doing it, right?
Yeah. Like what actions are you taking? Are you doing something? Are you being proactive?
Are you right? Are you volunteering to do security in your community so the
Mhm.
police don't have to?
Yeah.
Why are the police being called in your community in the first place?
Mhm.
Like, we got to start addressing like the real core issues. And so I always leave people with that. Well, then what's the solution?
Yeah.
Because that's not, what you're suggesting is not going to work. So that has been a challenge, but I always bring solutions. And so I realized that on YouTube, it's a very unique group of people on
Mhm.
YouTube.
Mhm.
And I notice the things that people find to be more popular.
Mhm.
And a lot of times it's not rooted in wellness, right? It's not rooted in making change or being held accountable. When you
Mhm.
start having conversations about a balanced, mature conversation,
Mhm.
it doesn't get the views, right?
Like this?
Like this, right? It doesn't.
Well,
People don't want to
yeah.
be held accountable, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
people come to the internet to escape reality.
Yeah, I know. Cause I mean, well, that's my problem now is that I had the same problems as you of like
Mhm.
getting to a point of like I had some bullies and I had negative
Yep.
people. And I'm like, and it really took me down for a second where
Yeah.
I just took the whole summer off. Even past that, I just stopped. I was like,
Yep.
I don't need this negativity. I
Yep.
came on here because I wanted to like have conversations with people, hear their stories. What happened, like what things happened to you and how did you overcome them? Like the
Right.
whole point is to get through struggles and give everybody tips and tricks.
There you go.
So how does someone else who doesn't know me say all these negative things about me? You don't know me from a hole in a wall. You don't have me my number. You can't call me when you have a problem with me. You can't text me. So how
Right.
are you going to say these negative things about me? So that's one of my contentious things of like bullies. and people, canceling people and saying negative things.
Yes.
But then, like, I finally got to a point where I'm like, I got to get back on, because there's people who want to chat with me, and I want to have honest conversations with people and find out what they went through and how they got through, through those struggles, and what positive things are you doing? What actions are you
Mm.
taking? Obviously, you took some actions.
Yes.
Obviously, like I feel like I had stories I can tell that I can share from my trials and tribulations and traumas from childhood and getting over those, that I wanted to share my story. That's how I felt like I was on here. And that's, you just got to keep going. Because as long
Correct.
as you stick to who you are, and as long as you are authentic and
Yep.
follow your passions and keep going, then, just keep doing it.
Absolutely.